So did you know this when it comes to Bittensor? I checked very recently when it comes to the Grayscale decentralized AI fund, and supposedly TAO, Bittensor's native token, made up the largest holding when it comes to that, at around 30%. Now, nothing I say is financial advice, but people like to tell me who cares about this nonsense. I mean, they like to say TAO, it's around 17 times lower than 3,000. Who cares? Well, here's the thing. If we take a look at, let's say, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, again, I'm not talking about the decentralized AI fund. I'm talking about, again, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which is so massive. You know, that right there has almost 157,000 Bitcoin. Well, it's actually like 156,872, but yeah, these are small details no one's really going to care about. But here's the thing. The value of that approximately as of right now, if we consider the current price of Bitcoin, that's around $10.3 billion. That's really massive. So if we take a look at Grayscale, so massive, right? And then we take a look at the decentralized AI fund, which I get it, people don't really care about it as of right now, but we have to think about this. TAO, it's number one in terms of the holdings, in terms of the percentage when it comes to that, at around 30%. That's really massive. I mean, keep in mind, TAO actually has more of a percentage in that, again, decentralized AI fund than something like the Near protocol. Keep in mind, Near, it is so massive, right? And it's just historically been way more popular than something like Bittensor. Now, granted, people like to tell me, oh, no one really cares about Near, but again, that's pretty famous, and Near only makes up around 28%. Granted, TAO just beat it by around 2%, but that's still pretty massive considering how Near just has more historical notoriety. Not to mention, TAO, again, is around 30%. Render is around 14.7%. And Render is also quite famous, right? Sometimes people don't really expect this, but supposedly this seems to be the case. So I do think this is actually pretty impressive. And if something like Grayscale cares about Bittensor, I feel like I'm not just going to automatically believe in it too, but I think it might show something. I feel like it kind of showcases that even from a fundamental standpoint of view, some enterprises out there may care about Bittensor. And why not? Bittensor focus on AI, focus on machine learning. That's a pretty big narrative not that long ago within this space. It's still like a big narrative, like globally, if we just take a look at not only the space overall, but within this space, there's a lot of factors, right? Like sentiment, people just leaving, people just don't really want to be in this space anymore. So it's a little bit different, but I think the fundamentals are still there when it comes to Bittensor, because if we take a look at NVIDIA, very focused on AI. A lot of enterprises out there really focus on AI, right? Take a look at Meta. There's a lot. So within this space, yeah, sure, a lot of AI projects are having a pullback, but at least the core narrative, like the core focus of those projects that are having a pullback, much like TAO, Bittensor's native token, at least that even though they're having a pullback, the narrative, the core focus of the project is still there. So if, let's say, I see a lot of projects out there having a pullback, what am I going to focus on? I'm going to focus on the projects that actually have substance, right? The ones that are actually focused on a good narrative. And I feel like Bittensor is one of them, arguably to me, hypothetically, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but that's just the way you take a look at it. Now, do I think memes are also going to recover? Yeah, I think when it comes to this space, probably, right? But when it comes to Bittensor, I like the narrative when it comes to AI and machine learning, so it's something I'm going to focus on too. It's not like memes are just going to disappear, in my opinion. I think that hypothetically, if the market picks up again, they might also have a space. They might have their turn again. But when it comes to Bittensor, I don't see why not, though, because it just focused on such a good narrative, in my opinion. Which is why I just haven't forgotten about the hypothetical idea when it comes to 3,000, when it comes to TAO, which again, we're around 17 times lower than that. But really, if we take a look at it, TAO at 3,000, the market cap at that point would be around 32 billion. That right there is around 50 billion less than Dogecoin's market cap at one point back in 2021. Dogecoin, right? Even if we compare it to like Shiba Inu, that market cap is around 8 billion lower than a market cap in which Shiba Inu once reached in 2021, which was around 40 billion. So this is like, I don't think such a ridiculous, outlandish market cap. Now, if the market cap needed to go to 3,000 was like 200 billion or something like that, then whoa, that's just way out of the question. I don't think that's even hypothetically possible for something like TAO. This is just the way to take a look at it, especially if we do see an altcoin season during this cycle. But like around 32 billion, it's not such an outlandish, like never before seen market cap. I mean, we've seen memes even exceed that years ago. But the thing is this, we haven't seen an altcoin season this time around. We did see one in 2021. But actually, as of right now, there is more enterprise adoption than before, arguably, in my opinion. Also, on top of that, there's, I think, way more owners right now than before, because in the peak of the 2021 cycle, around 300 million owners. Now there's over 600 million, and this is right here, right now. Like, without an altcoin season, with Bitcoin being below 70 grand, again, we have this many owners. So what happens if there's an altcoin season with this many individuals within this space? If it looked better than 2021, it wouldn't necessarily surprise me, but that's just kind of my mindset. Now, people like to tell me, oh, but when it comes to Bittensor, it's not going to do much because it has too much competition. Well, I think in terms of the quantity, yes, it does have a lot, but in terms of the quality, I just don't see many that could really compete sort of toe-to-toe when it comes to something like Bittensor. When it comes to the Near protocol, even though I think it is an awesome project, if we consider it, like when I first believed in Near, my first thought wasn't, oh, it's a project focused on AI. I feel like it was more so something that, was becoming a big focus later on. So it wasn't necessarily like, I think, super focused on that initially when I first believed in, at least in my opinion. If I take a look at something like Bittensor, initially when I believed in it, my kind of perception was instantly AI, right? It was instantly machine learning. Bittensor, I feel like, was built from the ground up to handle stuff like this, right? Like AI, machine learning, and all this. Whereas some other projects out there, I feel like they kind of try to add it later on. So it didn't feel as natural, right? So that's why I think even though there's a lot of projects out there that are quote unquote competing with Bittensor, however, I kind of feel like not many can stand toe to toe with it, because I feel like Bittensor was built from the ground up to handle stuff like this. And also on top of that, to find one that has the quality of the fundamentals, right? To find the one that actually has substance, it's a little bit difficult. It's like, for instance, I could try to make a t-shirt, but could I make one that's good? Of course not. Like, okay, I could just take some cloth and a sewing machine and try to make up a shirt, but it's probably not going to be good. I have no experience doing it. I have no training. So it's just going to be all just not good, right? But I could say, oh yeah, I made a t-shirt, but it doesn't really mean much because it's not good. I feel like a lot of other projects out there, they say, oh yeah, we're a project focused on AI, but what are they really doing? They don't have the fundamentals in some cases. So finding just an AI project in general, I feel like is not that difficult because there's a lot, but finding one that has actual substance and quality, that's kind of difficult. But I feel like I already kind of did the difficult part anyways, right? I already believed in Bittensor, dollar cost averaging once a month, believing in the project. That's like the more complicated part. The easiest part, I think, for me is just waiting. So if all I have to do is wait as of right now, because I'll never be able to know when there could ever be a hypothetical altcoin season. But again, if all I have to do is wait, I'll gladly wait. That's my mindset. Because if people like to say, oh, what happens if you have to wait until 2027? It's like, yeah, okay, I'll wait. I mean, what am I in a hurry of anyways? What is the time limit really? I feel like there is none, right? As long as I'm holding, I can in theory wait another 20, 30 years, which is like, of course, a very long timeline, but I'm just saying that as an example. Like, there is no time limit in which I have to leave. It's just like, as long as I want to hold, I'll hold. That's the way you take a look at it. So as long as I'm not worried for, the time limit, as long as I'm not trying to quickly exit, yeah, I'll gladly wait. I mean, whenever it happens, it'll happen. That's the way you take a look at it. So I'm just going to stay patient just in case. I don't have to, but it's just kind of like just in case. That's the way you take a look at it. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. So hopefully I'll see y'all on the next video, because I'm going to be making more updated videos when it comes to Bittensor. So again, hopefully I'll see y'all there. I hope you have a nice day. And thank you for watching. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.